We're live. It's Tuesday. I was in my mind, Sophia. This is one of the few bright sides of a readjustment in the schedule. I'm accustomed to V for Valkyries being Mondays at 3. We're starting Tuesday at approximately 12 p.m. a little bit later. My apologies. I dropped a Coke bottle in my kitchen. It ain't fun cleaning glass. Nonetheless, we're off and running, and is a pleasant surprise mentally because it's Tuesday. We're like already into the week now. So that was a nice little personal surprise on my front. And if you feel the same way, I'm stoked for you. Sophia, how are you doing before we get going? You ready to rock this joint? It's officially the off season for you for the WNBA, right?
It is Valkyries off season at least,
Correct.
but still loving watching the rest of the WNBA playoffs.
Yes, and there's a lot to talk about there. There's also quite a bit to talk about with the Warriors. Mark Stein dropping some nuggets late yesterday. I have no idea how much of it is true or not. I'm also a little surprised that Mark Stein's dropping all these bombs and not someone locally. Mark, in case you're unfamiliar, is based out of Dallas, Texas. Come on, Bay Area media, get up on this. You're the one that should be reporting about private workouts involving Stephen Curry. I digress. We got a lot to talk about. It's a V for Valkyries Tuesday edition. Let's get into it.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. Leave me alone this summer.
Let's go. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up.
Oh, yeah. New open next week. Welcome to the Golden Days V for Valkyrie edition, presented by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Golden Days and the Believe Network. You can follow Sophia Jones on Twitter at SophiaJones_2. You can follow me, Cyrus Sotzes, on Threads and Instagram at DogWild. On Twitter at Surf Journalist, the program on both platforms at Golden Days Pod. And maybe that last part, the most important, if you're curious in terms of what the program is up to, scheduling readjustments and so forth. A money checkup in the chat's asking, what is that red circle around the Valkyries stuff? Stuff referring more specifically to the logo. And that's a play off V for Valkyries. It's originally V for Victory. Winston Churchill slogan, if you will. I think back in World War II. More recently, the movie V for Vendetta shared that similar logo. So the red circle is a play off that theme, if you will. Money checkup. Thanks for asking, though. I'm really stoked, side note, Sophia, that we claimed V for Valkyries before someone else. That is such a bitchin' name. I love it. And the money checkup adding, are you Carlos boozing, Sai? What is that? Are you accusing me of like of spraying hair on my head, or is this an alcohol content? I want to make one thing very clear. There's no doubt I'm good. I'm probably, well, not no doubt, but I'm probably gonna go bald someday. It's gonna happen. I'm not gonna fake it. All right, like what you see is what you get. This is the real deal. It's a minor miracle. I'm still hanging on. Someday though, it's gonna happen, and when that does, the clipper is gonna come, and I'm just gonna buzz the damn thing. But no, man, this is the real deal. I'm still hanging on strong. Money checkup, if that's what you're referencing. Nonetheless, and if it's a booze comment, I'm not a big drinker. Sophia, are you a big drinker? Do you enjoy libations when you're not on the clock?
No, honestly.
I
really only drink water. Kind of boring.
Smart. That's smart. I'm with you. In my 20s, I was in my late teens, I was having the time of my life. Around late 20s, 30s, the booze started to kind of get phased out. It's just it's besides the fact that it's awful for you, that's to me, the clearest sign of aging was the hangovers from drinking. Like, I went from waking up the next day ready to still take over the world, ready for some hair of the dog, and then like suddenly one day the hangover lasted 2 days. Suddenly the hair of the dog was just making me feel worse. And for me, it was kind of like a hit the brakes moment. But it's just so bad for you, man. Like, if you don't want to age, if you know, don't drink. If you don't want to age, don't smoke cigarettes. So just some tips out there for you if you're curious. Oh, Craig F adding that Carlos Boozer's hair game was impressive post. And yeah, some of these guys, whether it's hair plugs, whether it's drawings, whatever it is. Yeah, I've always at least tried to keep it real. I'm just going to get the Clippers when that time comes. Nonetheless, we're not here to talk about hair or drinking. We're here to talk about basketball. A lot to talk about with the Warriors. We'll get to that in a second. But I want to start with the Valkyries because the last time you were joining the program, Sophia, the Valkyries were in the playoffs. The WNBA had not announced a coach of the year. So 2 massive bombs since your last appearance. One, and let's start with the good news. Natalie Nakase, coach of the year. It's official. You were at the press conference. Describe the jubilation, which I imagine was experienced in that around the organization. And was it even close? Like, was it unanimous? I didn't get a chance to look at the vote. Your thoughts on Natalie Nakase winning coach of the year for your expansion Golden State Valkyries?
I think it was 100% deserved. She led her team to the first ever playoff berth by an expansion team. Unfortunately, the Valkyries were a first-round exit. They got swept by the Minnesota Lynx, who are the number 1 seed, and the Valkyries were number 8 seed. But I think it was really well-deserved for Coach Nakase. With the rotating door that was really happening throughout the course of the Valkyries season, just with so many injuries. There were Eurobasket departures and returns. You had a player that was a mid-season acquisition that ended up finishing as a starter in Kyla Charles. And I think all that doesn't happen without the tutelage up top with Coach Nakase. She really, one of the things that just stuck out to me the most that what she said is she really instills that killer mindset. And everyone, you can see where everything she does, the way that she speaks, she has that. And it really diffused to the rest of the team. And I think that the way that she does that and the way that she really pours confidence into her players is another reason why we saw this expansion team achieve what no one else was able to.
You're absolutely right. And on a future episode, we're not going to do this today, but on a future episode, we're going to talk about a topic that a few people have asked me to bring up on the program with you specifically, Sophia, and that is the idea of Valkyries head coach Natalie Nakase someday replacing Steve Kerr as the Warriors head coach. And there's some precedent here in terms of women being interviewed for head coaching positions in the NBA. Becky Hammond, I believe, was a finalist. I think Deuce Staley was interviewed for the Knicks position this past offseason, correct?
Yes.
What did I say?
Yeah,
Did I say Deuce?
Yeah.
It's Dawn. What's Deuce? Is there a Deuce Staley?
Not
Why
that
did I
I know
say that?
of.
I'm sorry. I know her name is Dawn Staley. Sorry, but it's Dawn Staley. Forgive me. Was interviewed by the Knicks. And look, when you look at Natalie Nakase's background, why don't we just get into this right now real fast? Might as well, because Natalie Nakase has a pretty rich history when it comes to coaching on the NBA side. In fact, and actually even bookmarked this story, which highlighted some of her background in regards to her origins as a coach. And it started with the Clippers, correct? Do you mind elaborating on that if you have information? Like she started under Doc Rivers, and I remember Doc Rivers being there for her coaching debut, and people were curious about that. And it's because they have a history starting with her working under him. Was it as a video coordinator? Do you mind expanding if you know more information on this?
Yeah, I want to say it was for like a video coordinator role, and then she went to their G League team and was an assistant coach for that group before then returning back to the Clippers and being an assistant coach. So she worked under Doc Rivers and Tyronn Lue. So she has a lot of NBA experience and ties. She's even talked about Joe Mazzulla being one of her mentors and someone that is in her corner throughout her first year as a young head coach. So she definitely has a lot of NBA ties.
And by the way, the badass 197 in the chat, thank you very much, adding that Deuce Staley was actually a running back in the NFL once upon a time for the Philadelphia Eagles. He might have actually worn a Niners uniform for a brief moment. Could be mistaken on that. But yes, there was a Deuce Staley. Thank you very much. And that's what was creeping in the noggin when I said that. Dawn Staley, though, the head coach. What, the Gamecocks, correct? Is that her team? Yeah,
yep, South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina, and they're a very successful squad out there. Yeah, as you're nodding, and when it comes to the sport of basketball, and there's obviously a lot of discussion, debate about, justice in this world, equity, as you will. When it comes to basketball, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you'd be a far better person to touch on this than me, but it's not a gender specific sport. It's not like men have controlled this sport and there hasn't been an equivalent on the women's side. I mean, I know the WNBA is relatively new-ish, but there's professional basketball even dates to the 80s on the women's side, maybe even earlier than that. And college sports has gone even before then. It's not like the college game and the NBA game, there's like a drastic difference. My point is, I don't think you need to be male to have some special insight covering the NBA, right? I mean, touch on that, please, in terms of the issues that may or may not present themselves for a woman like Natalie Nakase coaching a men's locker room. Like, can you see that being an issue, or do you think in 2025, society, and more specifically men playing basketball, can they accept that, do you think? Are we ready for a Natalie Nakase in a locker room, Sophia?
I 100% think so. And she talks about all the time how much she challenges her players and how she demands the best of them. She told Veronica Burton post All-Star break, essentially, she's like, you're not allowed to have bad days, bad games. And I think that's exactly the type of talk that would be welcomed in an NBA locker room. And she's already had some experience, like I said, with the Los Angeles Clippers, being in those environments. And it reminds me of an excerpt from when Dawn Staley was interviewing for that New York Knicks position. And she essentially went in and asked, as the first female head coach of the NBA, would you guys be prepared to have to maybe essentially answer a lot of questions about that? And I think that if we are talking about Nana Nakase potentially assuming Steve Kerr's position, it will be the same exact organization. So people who are familiar with Golden State are going to be familiar with Nana Nakase, and I think that could potentially be very seamless.
The badass 197 saying Jimmy Butler is too toxic. She won't be able to control him. I know you're being facetious, but I strongly disagree with that notion. I'm with you. I think, look, the NFL might be a different discussion, and maybe even they're ready there. I don't know. This is an NBA show. We cover basketball. I wouldn't, at this point, I would like to see a little more years under Natalie Nakase's belt as a WNBA head coach. Let's see what years 2, 3, and so forth bring. But based off year one, I wouldn't object to it. I would not. She clearly has a brilliant basketball mind. She lives and breathes hoops. Like she seems like the type who, and I think she maybe has even admitted this in interviews, will sleep in the office instead of going home just because you're saving time, right? Like those are hours you're losing in a commute that you can be focusing on basketball. Is that an accurate picture I'm painting here?
It 100% is. She says that she'll stay up to 2 a.m. sometimes, texting her assistant coaches, just trying to come up with schemes. She's admitted up to a couple of sleepless nights as well, just game prepping. Yeah. So I think, like you said, definitely head coaching experience, is valuable and most valuable over anything for someone that is looking to maybe make that transition. But I think her attitude is already there. She talks about a lot of times she's said this. She says, I'm an MFer and I MF people. So she's not afraid to call.
What is I don't know what MF means. What is that an acronym? I'm kidding. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I know.
Bad joke.
But she actually says it in the press conferences verbatim how I said it. She says, I'm an MFer. And I think knowing that Joe Mazzulla is one of her mentors, I see a bit of Joe Mazzulla in her, but she also does it in her own beautiful way.
And I've harped on this repeatedly, how much the Warriors have missed Mike Brown since he left in 2022, largely because of his work ethic. That, like, Mike Brown to me sounds very similar in terms of the commitment, the hours you put in to do your best as a coach in basketball. I see strong similarities there between him and Natalie Nakase. And the Warriors miss that. I do think you can notice it a bit in the product on the court these last few years since he's been gone, but that's just my opinion there. Yeah, I'm all in so far for Natalie Nakase. If that idea ever evolves and gets to that point, that would be a Joe Lacob decision. But and in the chat, Gilbert Arbalo writes that the Valkyries should have won game 2. And again, the season didn't end perfectly, but what does in life? The fact that they made the playoffs in itself is absolutely remarkable. What a stunning achievement for the expansion Valkyries, the first in WNBA history to make the playoffs as an expansion team. But they came across a juggernaut, the Minnesota Lynx. And I want to briefly discuss with you the MVP voting, because I actually think Napheesa Collier got robbed. I know Asia Wilson is the new GOAT and she's the megastar, but we'll discuss that in a second, because maybe you'll push back on me on that. And but the Lynx, again, they're a powerhouse. They're probably the favorites to win the championship this year. It was just the wrong team. Like them and the Mercury, I feel like were the two teams that if you're the Valkyries and you wanted to have hope in that first round series, those two teams would not be it in terms of your matchup. Like they were the wrong matchups for the Golden State Valkyries. With that said, they got crushed in game 1, but game 2 in San Jose was very close. The Valkyries led that game until the very end. It was riveting. And even though they lost, the fans were the support they showed was awesome. Reminded me of a lot of other young burgeoning teams who you can sense they're on the cusp of something phenomenal. That was the vibe I got with the Valkyries, that this was just a start of great things to come. And I do think they should have also won that game, but I'm not going to blame them either. They're a young and experienced team. Again, they're an expansion team. But your thoughts on that game 2 match? You called it with Kevin Dana. What was it like? And recap it, please, if you don't mind.
In terms of the environment, I think that's the loudest basketball game I've ever been to.
Wow.
There were times where I genuinely could not hear Kevin in my headsets because it was so loud. It was hard to hear whistles. So it was extremely, extremely energetic in SAP Center. But for the actual flow of the game, Valkyries led the majority. But I think down the stretch, the Lynx just made championship plays, and they have championship aspirations, and those are exact plays that they made. And for a player like Napheesa Collier, who is an MVP candidate, finished second in that voting, she made second place MVP voting type plays. Honestly, she even made MVP voting first place plays, and that's just really hard to cut back to. Temi Fagbenle was a late scratch, I think right before tip. We got the word, or it was, I think when we got the starters, we saw that Temi Fagbenle was out of the starting lineup. And then maybe midway through the first quarter, we saw that she was out because of a right knee pain. I can't remember which one. And that's the type of stuff that also hurts. She was the starting center for the squad, but Valkyries just played with so much effort. And you say the word inexperience, and I actually think that with that group, there was still a lot of individual playoff experience. Maybe not WNBA, but looking in the starting 5, it was Cecilia Zanlazzini, who she has playoff experience. She had the most out of all the people that played on the Valkyries. But Veronica Burton, she won the championship in the WNBL, which is the Australian Basketball League. So she has that. Janelle Salon, she was a starter for the French national team during last year's Olympics, where they won the silver medal. So she has experience on a global stage, maybe even bigger than WNBA playoffs. And then Ileana Rupert was also on that French squad. And our last starter was Kyla Charles, who didn't have a ton of WNBA playoff experience, but they were still, like, these girls are still used to high pressure situations.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Minnesota was just the championship team.
Yeah. I'm unmuted. Okay, good. Yeah, and they're a juggernaut. It would not surprise me in the least bit if they won the championship. I really quickly, your broadcast partner Kevin Dana, I consider him a dear friend. He posted this on his Instagram account. If you folks don't mind indulging me for a second, listening along, And I don't think you're in this one, Sophia, but it still captures just the energy you're referencing, the noise, the passion, everything that was vibing. This is Kevin Dana's Instagram account. You can follow him on Instagram at Danaman SJ408, representing San Jose. And this was the call. Enjoy. I hope you do.
Two repair right wing. One more burden to three. Rain dance! 50-34. Valkyries have a new largest lead of the game. Shot clock is off. Takes it to the rim instead. Misses wildly. Valkyries will get the last look. Burden in half court with 6 seconds. Lofting inside for Billings. Great catch. Can't finish. Gets it back. Plays it up. And one!
I want to make one thing very clear. I've never heard Kevin Dana in all my years following him, whether he's filling in for Tim Roy or even TV on the Warriors broadcast. He's the Santa Cruz Warriors lead broadcaster still. And that's not the first time he's gone crazy like that. I've never heard that level of exuberance from Kevin Dana. He took it to a whole new a phase of his broadcasting repertoire, if you will, covering the Golden State Valkyries. What was it like you sitting next to him for those moments?
It was crazy. We were in the penalty box, essentially. They put a couple media tables there because SAP Center is where the San Jose Sharks hockey team plays. Yeah, so we were in the penalty box, which is like not courtside, but row 1.
Closer.
Is the best way to is the best way to describe it. But we were all extremely bunched in. And there were certain times when, something happens and you're all kind of just bumping into each other going crazy. But it was a really surreal game to call. I've been meaning to listen back to it so I can cut up highlights for my broadcasting reel, but it's still a little, the loss is still a little fresh also for me.
I hear you. And again, it's hard to mask a loss and find positives in it, but boy, was this a positive season for your Golden State Valkyries. Kev F in the chat asking, what was the game in San Jose instead of Oakland? We covered this last week, Sophia. You mentioned that it was just a scheduling conflict and that they did look at Oakland, but something, I don't know if it usually these days, Oracle, and I know they don't technically call it that anymore, but I think Oracle these days is mostly serving the purpose of concerts, I think. And I'm sure there's other events like Ice Capades, stuff like that. I don't know what the scheduling conflict was, but as you reported, they did look at Oakland and they settled on SAP, and it did work out. I mean, look, the Shark Tank does rock and roll. The Warriors played there for 2 years in the mid-90s while they renovated Oracle, in case you folks weren't familiar. So, and then the former professional women's team in the Bay Area played there as well. That was Jennifer Azzi's team way back when, I think, if my memory serves correct. Nonetheless, that was just awesome. That was a beautiful run for season 1 of the Golden State Valkyries. And there's obviously always stuff to talk about. The lockout is looming. That's a big one. There's also the fact that there's going to be more expansion, and the Valkyries are only going to be able to protect 6 players on their roster for the expansion draft, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
Ooh. And we'll save that discussion for a future show, right? In terms of, or do you not want to touch that ever? I understand if you don't, but that would be a fun topic. If
I probably won't touch it. Like I said, any player that has ever worn a Valkyries jersey, I wish we could keep them all. I'm looking at Aerial Powers and Chloe Bibby on the Fever, and I'm loving the success that they're seeing. But I'm like, they were Valkyries as well.
And PMG in the chat adding, make room for Sabrina Ionescu. That's a personal wish list item right there. I'm even, never mind potential free agents. The Valkyries next year, if all reports are accurate, maybe you can confirm this, they're going to get their first round pick on board, and she looks awesome. Juste Yosite. I know I didn't get that right. How close?
Juste Yosite.
Okay, so it's kind of close. So you don't pronounce that J at all. In both instances,
no,
it's
Juste Yochita.
So it's okay. So it's Juste Yosite.
Yochita.
Yochita. Juste Yochita.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, essentially. It's Yeah,
I'm working on the name. I'm working on it. I apologize.
it's
Forgive me.
Lithuanian, so it's one of those different vocal mouth patterns.
There you go. I think I was still closer to it than the WNBA commissioner. I digress. Sorry, we'll move on. Like that little subtle jab there from me. No one else. I move on. And I'll explain what I meant on a future show if you were unfamiliar with that little jab there. But the Golden State Warriors, sorry, Sophia, the Golden State Warriors, moving on. I have training camp just around the corner. Media day is Monday. And before we talk about that, I got to give some love to our sponsors real quickly. We have a temporary one. It's just for this week, but it's a phenomenal sponsor. And the reason why I say that is because they provide a service that I think a lot of you may or may not need. And it's wiping out your digital footprint. Look, especially you younger folks out there who are reckless and don't think that the future matters, and you think whatever decision you make now, who cares? You're rolling with YOLO, bro. Well, guess what? There's a very good chance that those pictures you post, those words you type might come to bite you in the ass at some point. And this is where an app like Delete Me can provide an incredible service. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. So they're not just protecting you about in terms of your past behavior online, they're also protecting you from all those pirates, all those thieves, those scandals out there trying to steal your credit card info, your personal info, social security numbers. Delete Me is there for you. Data brokers make a profit off your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and even harassment. But now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro and use the promo code PRO, P-R-O. It's that easy at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to deleteme.com/pro, enter the promo code PRO, P-R-O at checkout. One more time, deleteme.com/pro. Use the promo code for that discount, PRO, P-R-O. That's the key word there. Today's episode also brought to you by the official sportsbook of Golden Days of the Believe Network, and that's FanDuel. Sophia, later tonight, for whatever reason, this has been like a month straight now, Tuesdays have become doubleheader Tuesdays on this program where I just end up booking two guests in one day. Tuesday nights are a lock no matter what, because Mark Haynes of Believe in Kings joins the program, and we have a ball. We actually, in fact, have a cool new logo that the network made for us that I'm going to show off to you real quick. I'm that appreciative of Believe for making this. Let me share my screen so you can see what the talented folks there have made for what we call the I-80 crossover. This is our new logo, which again, I'm very proud of and I'm stoked on. So tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific time, we're doing our over-under show. And we'll probably rename it because over-under is a concept for a program, for an episode at least, that we did not originate. And I'm sure a lot of people do. So we'll come up with some tacky yet creative new name for it. But the point is, it's going to be an NBA preview show. Mark Haynes joins me. Frank Red's going to join me. I'm waiting on Larry Kruger for a confirmation. It's going to be either three or four of us tonight. We're going to run through all 30 teams. And with each team, we're going to basically briefly introduce the transactions they've done this offseason, who left, who came, how many wins they had last year. And then we're going to present their over-under for this year and make our prediction for each team. And so, Sophia, since you're not going to join us for that show tonight, I'm going to ask you right now about some OUs pertaining to the teams we cover, more specifically the team we cover, and that's your Golden State Warriors. This is the Warriors OU, courtesy again of the FanDuel Sportsbook for your 2025-2026 season. And there's some irony here, considering the Warriors currently only have 9 players under roster. We still have no idea how this is going to shake out, despite Mark Stein's report yesterday, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But nonetheless, despite only having 9 players on their roster, FanDuel has set a line for your Golden State Warriors in terms of how many wins they think the Warriors are going to achieve, at least the baseline for what you bet more than or less than for that line. Sophia, the Golden State Warriors, their OU for this upcoming season is 45.5. That means the bookies are asking each and every one of you to decide, do you think the Warriors will win more than 45.5 games or less than 45.5 games this upcoming season? So, Sophia, I now turn to you. Will the Golden State Warriors win 46 or more or win 45 or less? Your thoughts?
I would go with 45 or less.
Okay.
Honestly,
all right, the under.
I think, just the way that this offseason has played out, this team, I don't really know if totally everything is figured out necessarily right now, which would put me at having them maybe, just a little bit above 500.
Well, and it's a fascinating line that they've come up with for a team that, again, only has 9 players. Real quick, because I'll add a second OU to you, if you don't mind, because something tells me you might be a little versed on the Sacramento Kings. And again, tonight's show is a weekly Tuesday night crossover with a Kings host. So this is a NorCal Especial. And I'm curious to know, Sophia, if you have any thoughts on the OU for the Sacramento Kings, who the bookies do not have nearly as much respect for as your Golden State Warriors. They're over under 34.5. Would you bet 35 or more wins if you're betting? I know you're not actually betting. Or would you bet 34 wins or less? Your thoughts?
That's a tricky one.
It is.
I'm struggling to remember what offseason moves the Kings have made. However, I do think
Dennis Schroeder, free agent signing. They lost Trey Lyles. I think that's it. I mean, they didn't do a lot, and I think that's why the OU is as low as it is. Oh, and they also got Dario Saric. They did get Dario Saric. I apologize. So that's a game changer. That's worth at least 5 wins. I'm being facetious. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Dario Saric.
I think I would take the over on that one.
All right.
I think that the Kings still, if they don't finish below 500, I think they might be right there. Or since it's only an 81 game season, can't be right there. I forget.
82 games.
I'm having it mixed up with WNBA because our season is 44. But yeah, the Kings are just one of those organizations that you really don't know what to expect from. I think that maybe having Doug Christie for a whole season and having one head coach, which I think for any organization, for one whole season will help to provide some stability, which can potentially convert to more wins.
So you're betting the over?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. All right, that's your OU. We're doing all 30 teams tonight, and there's going to be at least 3 of us, if not 4. Let me see if I heard from Larry with a confirmation. Still no. He's very busy covering the Niners, so if he doesn't join us, that's okay. He'll join us soon. But we got a threesome at least. Frank Red, Mark Haynes, and yours truly. That's going to be tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific time, your official NBA preview show. Let me see if there's any news real quick that's come down in regards to the Warriors. I'm on Warrior. Let me specify that here. I'm on JK watch because my guess is this news is going to drop at any moment. In terms of Jonathan Kuminga coming back, him signing a contract, still nothing official from what I'm seeing. Well, here is what Mark Stein reported, and he's got an excellent. Is it a blog? Is it a platform? It's on Substack, whatever the proper label is for Mark Stein's publication. And I got to call out the Bay Area media here because why is Mark Stein constantly beating everyone locally whose entire job, they're getting paychecks to report on the Golden State Warriors. We're not getting, well, you're getting a paycheck from the Valkyries, but for the most part, we're not getting a paycheck here. And we're doing this organically. Like we're doing this from scratch. We're independent. But the local Bay Area media contingent, they're getting paid. They're getting a check. And why is Mark Stein, who's based in Dallas, breaking this information constantly? What he broke yesterday, and he dropped some nuggets. I think the biggest nugget was the fact that, according to Mark Stein, Stephen Curry's organized, bless you, Mark Stein has organized, not Mark Stein, Stephen Curry has organized private workouts this week with Golden State Warriors veterans. I don't know if that includes the potential signees, but nonetheless, training camp formally starts Monday. Warriors still only have 9 players. Stephen Curry's organizing private workouts. Mark Stein's reporting that. So let's start there. Does that seem out of the norm to you that certain players are having private workouts before training camp? This is a very easy question and answer because I think you know what the answer is to this, but maybe the audience doesn't. Your thoughts on Steph leading some private team camaraderie moments, some workouts? Your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's out of the ordinary. I think it's just a good way. Training camp can really be so short and it's always team focused and oriented. And I think that if players can get individual touch-ups potentially in a Steph Curry training camp scenario, I think that would be beneficial.
Oh, strongly agree. And you're absolutely right. This is a very normal thing. What I don't know is whether or not the unsigned players even can legally join these workouts. I don't know. I'm guessing yes, but I don't have that answer specifically. And then Mark Stein also reporting that, and this is nothing new. Other sources have said that. I think Anthony Slater reported this as well. Stein has reported this previously. But the names for who the Warriors are expected to add, if and when this Jonathan Kuminga drama ends, is reportedly, according to this new story by Stein, Al Horford, who's expected to take the taxpayer mid-level exception, DeAnthony Melton, who's already signaling on social media that he's a member of the Warriors again, Seth Curry, which side note, I'm so elated. Like, people are sleeping on how huge of an addition that's going to be. And GP2, who Stein is reporting will come back. Now, I do think it's a little brazen for Mark Stein to report that these guys are coming back when the CBA will not allow it if Kuminga signs for anything more than $21.7 million for this upcoming season. What I mean by that is if Kuminga signs for more than $21.7 million, the Warriors will simply not be able to afford all of those guys. I imagine Horford's a lock. I imagine DeAnthony Melton's a lock. I imagine Seth Curry's a lock because I just don't see the Warriors pissing Steph off when that commitment's been made. My guess would be GP2 would be the odd man out if the Warriors are forced to cut corners and not bring all those players back. GP2 and Seth Curry are both eligible to make $3.6 million this year as a result of their experience, 10 plus years in the NBA. I don't think DeAnthony Melton's at the 10-year mark yet, so he's going to earn slightly less than that. I think his number is around $2.8 million for his years of service. Nonetheless, I just want to add that caveat to Mark Stein's report that while that's probably the wish list for the Warriors, they can't literally do that if Kuminga signs for a penny over $21.7 million because of the hard cap presented by the second apron that will be triggered if Al Horford signs the mid-level exception, the taxpayer version of that, which is approximately $5.6 million. So that's what Mark Stein reported. Your thoughts on a whole lot of nothing, really. I mean, but I'm just, what else can we talk about?
No, I mean, you put it together there. It's the big word is if.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what Warriors media has been reporting on and discussing this whole entire offseason. The discourse has been around the word if. If Jonathan Kuminga does this, if Jonathan Kuminga does this.
Yeah.
Which I feel like also with our last show, and there was a pretty lengthy ESPN report that came out with them saying that it looks like Kuminga and the Warriors are taking steps in the right direction. At least they're having dialogue and conversations.
Mhm.
And with another report also looking like this is going to happen, I think it's still positive for Warriors fans to look at, or at least if you want Jonathan Kuminga. And those names surrounding are also none really surprising.
Exactly. There's nothing new here to report in that regard. I will say this, money checkup rates of the Warriors are fudging up the whole offseason. At the moment, yes, and this has been a 3-month drama now. A quarter of a year has just been with nothing to show for it. Like literally nothing. Like just inaction. 3 months. That's how long this has gone. It's lunacy. I've never experienced anything like this. The fan base is livid. They're like fuming red. Like memes are being generated left and right, just portraying how Dub Nation feels. This is crazy. What's even crazier is Kuminga, if he really wants to play hardball, doesn't have to agree to a thing this week. And this is the leverage he has, which is if the Warriors are basically saying take it or leave it, 2 years guaranteed, third year team option, JK could say leave it, wait like 3 more weeks if he wants to, and then sign the qualifying offer. And if he waits 3 more weeks, I don't know what the Warriors are going to do here. This is why I think the Warriors are going to have to blink first and acquiesce and give Kuminga that 3rd year, because the alternative would be Al Horford would not be able to show up. Like you can't give out the taxpayer mid-level exception if Kuminga continues holding out. That's off the board because the moment you give Horford that taxpayer mid-level exception, you get hard capped at the second apron, and then you're in a position where you may lose Kuminga for absolutely nothing. Like that's worst case scenario. But not signing Horford kind of messes up your whole plans. Again, media day is next Monday. You don't think these questions are going to be everywhere? You don't think this is going to become a massive distraction? So my guess is the Warriors will give in. That's my guess, because I hope they're aware of the alternative, which is an absolute nightmare. Just again, that's all people are going to talk about. I don't know how you're going to fill your roster. I think October 15th is opening day. And by that point, you need to have 13 players on your roster signed in case Kuminga drags this out to that point. Just ugly, just purely ugly. If this extends going into next week when training camp starts, we shall see what happens. I want to add as well, Desirio in the chat writing, didn't Melton have his social media with Warriors photos since last year? No, when he got traded to the Nets, he updated all of his imagery to represent the Nets. And then early August is when he flipped everything back to the Warriors. And we dedicated a show to that. It's why it was such a big deal. And Melton does this with every team he plays for. He'll update his social media pictures to rep the team that he's playing for. No, he did not. He did not keep the Warriors since last year. So that's why that was noteworthy. So there we go. And Alan Day in the chat writing that Kuminga is smartly being patient. Exactly. And that's where Aaron Turner is probably hammering to him by the day. Just wait. Just sit tight. They're going to have to bend. I imagine this is Lacob's strategy is just, look, make this kid wait out. And if he actually does wait, he'll win. Kudos to him, but this is stringent, hardcore, Fortune 500 level negotiating. Like this is what happens when big dollars are discussed, right? Like one side's going to have to give that money. The other side wants the money. The side with the money is very hesitant to give the money. They're going to have to, though. I just don't see any other avenue for this working out. So, anyways, yeah, Portola 45 adding. So in 5 years, Melton will flip his IG to a European team. Maybe Melton's still in the NBA in 5 years. I think he only turns 27 or 8 this season. He's still relatively young, but I digress. Sophia, any thoughts to everything I just said as we wrap it up?
Yeah, just with training camp and all this stuff, even Steph Curry's private training camp coming up, I think that we will be hearing the news pretty soon. I think it has to happen. And then I anticipate the Warriors have all the other signees lined up after Jonathan Kuminga. So I'm hoping that this all just transpires quickly.
I hope so. Have you talked to your dad about this? Because I haven't, and I don't know why I haven't. Your dad's like one of the brightest minds I know. Has he discussed this at all, or have you talked to him about this? Like, it's so unusual.
You
This
know
is
what?
as
We
bizarre as it
haven't
gets.
had in. Yeah, it really is. We haven't discussed it too much, honestly. Um, he's in college football season right now, so there's that, and he had some WNBA games. So I was actually, whenever he had a game, I was watching, and he told me, if you notice anything, text me. So that's what we were discussing. We've been heavy WNBA
I'm glad you brought
conversations
that up.
recently.
I'm glad you brought that up before we go, because I noticed that. I forgot which game he was calling. It was one of the
He
playoff
was
games.
Yeah, he did the Las Vegas Aces and Seattle Storm round 1 series, games 1, 2, and 3.
That caught me off guard for a second, because this was the first time he's done WNBA. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
You are.
Okay, sorry. Then I apologize.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's his first time this season, but he's done W in the past.
Okay, look, and the props to the WNBA for getting the A-lister. I mean, that's your cleanup hitter right there. Him and Mike Breen. I feel like your dad should officially formally take over that top spot. I hope it happens. I mean, no disrespect to Breen. He's a legend in and of itself. Him and your dad are like they're the kings for play-by-play. Marv Albert, to me, was the king, and then he retired. And then Mike Breen, I guess, technically has that spot, and then your dad's like just this close behind. I think it's time for your dad. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm a little biased saying that, but good stuff. Hope he's doing well. I heard that call the other day. That was phenomenal. Anyways, yeah. Gilbert Arballo adding, I should bring Rick Bucher back because since his show on FS1 got canned, I didn't know that actually happened. And really funny thing before we go, might as well. I don't know if I ever mentioned this before. Rick Bucher was going to be my co-host on the last network. That for me was like the final straw. I don't know if I've ever said this. This might be, I mean, if anyone cares, but he was going to be my co-host. He was on board. It was all set. And then the network had other plans. And then I decided I'm going to have other plans then. And here's Golden Days. But Rick Bucher, yeah, I'll reach out. I didn't know his show got canceled. That's news to me. So I'll see if he's interested in coming back. But Sophia Jones, I know, is coming back next week. Typically every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. There will be scheduling adjustments here and there as needed. Follow us on social media to get that information. Anything left? Are there any bases we did not cover on today's show, Sophia, before we go?
I think the only news that we discussed during our pre-show meeting was the New York Liberty firing Sandy Brondello.
We did not
touch
on that. Sorry.
No.
My apologies.
No, you're good.
Let's do that real quick.
So that's
yeah.
So that's huge news. Sandy Brondello and the New York Liberty, they lost to the Phoenix Mercury in the first round. They were 5th seed, which is underwhelming considering that they were the champions last year and made the WNBA finals the year before. So that's why the news is just so shocking, because despite this being a little bit of a down year, Sandy Brondello has led the Liberty to finals and titles.
And I want to play. I'm glad you brought. I'm sorry. That was just a mental slip that I forgot to play. We have a clip as well. And even before I do that, Chardal dropping $1.99, just saying he's a fan. I hope you're a fan of Sophia's as well. I know you are. I just, when I see a chat post when you're with me, Sophia, and I just see my name, I just like to remind folks there's 2 of us on this show today. But thank you, Chardal. That does mean the world. And Chardal's YouTube channel is SGA Sports Talk channel. Folks, go subscribe to it. He's at 466. The magic number for YouTube is 500. Chardal, you're damn close. We'll bring you on the show another day soon, I promise. On that note, we are about 20-something subs away from 5,000. And here's a little promo I want to introduce. I'm going to say this as well. On social media, we have a merch store now, and it's all you have to do is go to our YouTube page. The program's called Golden Days. If you search Golden Days, it should be the first thing that comes up. I think there's a band out there called Golden Days as well. That's the only competition we have for our name, and they haven't produced anything new, I think, in like 10 years. So it should be very easy to find. On our YouTube channel, we have a merch store. We're selling a whole bunch of stuff. We have a lot of Valkyrie stuff. And side note, if you want to support Sophia, she gets half of all the Valkyries merch we sell. This is our independent, brand new business operation. We're trying to grow. And so all that stuff is available there. I bring it up because our 5,000th subscriber, if and YouTube will let me keep track of exactly who's 5,000, will get a free hat. So that's an offer. So and I'll find who that 5,000th person is. But whoever is 5,000 will send you a free hat, and we're going to start doing that occasionally. I'm not at a point yet where I can just send stuff all the time. I want to get to that point, but and do a lot of contests. But we do have a merch store, so join us there. We have a lot of great swag, repping the Warriors, the program, the Valkyries, V for Valkyries, and there's going to be a lot of new stuff. We're just going to keep growing this thing. We're going to have winter clothing on there soon as well. So whoever becomes our 5,000th subscriber, we'll send you a hat. So hope that entices you a little bit. Alan Day wants to know about your thoughts on officiating. Let's get to that in 1 second. I want to play this clip first really quickly because this whole thing with the Liberty was crazy. They had a press conference after they got upset in the first round. It was a disappointment for the reigning champs to lose in the first round of the playoffs, but it happens. And Sophia, you're going to expand on that in just a second. But this was the press conference after their Game 3 loss, and it was kind of crazy. Let's play the clip and we'll talk about it.
What would you say to those who question whether Sandy should be here next year to coach you guys again?
What the fuck?
I'm not saying I question it. There's just some people that do.
I mean, to anybody that kind of questions Sandy being here, like, this is a resilient group, and she has our back and we have hers. And the way that she continued to kind of, I don't know, deal with the cards she was dealt, like, was incredible. It wasn't easy for anybody, but she came in every day with a positive attitude and a mindset to put us in our best positions possible and best foot forward. So we're not going to be a team that points fingers. You know, there's a lot of us that could have done better this season, but we're still going to fight and show up for each other every single day. And I think that's what's the most important part. So we have Sandy's back.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
And you can see there, they ended the press conference right after that. That was a bold question, but in hindsight, a day later, her contract is not renewed, which is the equivalent of a coach being fired. Although technically, I know that's not the case, but to simplify communication, that's what people will say, is that her not being brought back is the equivalent of a termination. I'm a little surprised she was head coaching with a lame duck contract. I thought that was kind of interesting. And maybe that's what precipitated the question, is the fact that she was about to be a free agent as a head coach. Again, that's not the norm. But Sophia, elaborate, because 24 hours later, a very harsh question that some people were not happy with ends up ringing true. And your thoughts? That's pretty wild that a defending champion just a year later moves on from their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I think that Breanna Stewart answered the question so graciously.
Yes.
And I think that encapsulated how the Liberty season went, where they dealt with so many injuries. Stewie was essentially playing on 1.5 knees in that elimination game.
Right.
And she missed a good chunk of the season with a knee injury. Sabrina missed time. Jonquel Jones missed time. Leonie Phoebish, she was out for time during Eurobasket. Emma Meesman was a mid-season acquisition. So it was a very turbulent season for the New York Liberty, where I think, like Stewie said, it's hard to really point fingers. And when you have a coach who not only showed success in New York, where she brought them a title, she also brought the Phoenix Mercury some success at the championship level as well. So she knows how to win. And I think any other teams are seeing this, and they're probably jumping at the opportunity to try to hire her. I know that the Seattle Storm didn't renew Noelle Quinn's contract, so there's a vacancy there. I think that I could see Sandy Brondello going there, honestly, because she has a really, really great mind. She coaches the Australian national team as well.
Well, that's interesting. And coaching openings this coming season, Seattle let go of their coach. I think this happened yesterday as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. At least in the last 48 hours. So that could be an opening for her or someone else. New York now has an opening. What's going to happen in Dallas? Do you think they're going to have a change, or because I've heard a lot of consternation from that fan base?
The last I heard, the Dallas Wings are not looking to hire a new head coach.
Wow.
So I think that they'll be sticking with Koklanis. I think I saw this reported, which also I think does make sense because
Okay.
Dallas is another team where I remember studying for games and a new player would pop up on my boards every single matchup because they had so many injuries and they were constantly signing hardship players just with all the injuries. And it was Koklanis' first head coaching experience in the W. So I think it would be pretty brutal to fire him, honestly.
Okay. Yeah,
I
do
think you
know.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for any first-time head coach, I think that's brutal to just have one bad season and immediately you're out the door. Especially that's another situation. The Wings had really tough cards to be dealt with.
You're absolutely right. I just that clip that went viral of Breanna Stewart and her teammates during a timeout watching the play being scripted, and every one of them gave just a look like, what is this? That sticks out to me. Anyways, I've heard a lot of fans in Dallas not happy with the coaching there, but that's a Dallas problem. That's not our problem. And Sophia, I want to show you just the fans and how split they can be on almost any topic. Case in point, that clip we played a moment ago of the New York Liberty and that reporter just bluntly asking about her job security. Gilbert Albalo in the chat saying, shame on that reporter. And then Alan Day in their chat right after saying, shout out to the reporter. Local reporters are often scary as hell. There you go. And that just kind of represents society in a nutshell. There are a lot of opinions about a lot of things that we don't have empirical answers to. And that includes the type of questioning in a press conference. And there's going to be other coaching openings too. We have, 2 expansion teams coming next year? 1 at least, bless you again. And that's going to need a coach too, right? So that's at least 3 openings. Am I mistaken on that?
Yeah, so there'll be 2 expansion teams, the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo, that have coaching vacancies. So them, in addition to the New York Liberty and Seattle Storm, there'll be a total of 4.
A lot of opportunities there. Okay, so I think Nancy's going to find something. I didn't know she won a championship in Phoenix as well. Is that her name, Nancy? Did I say that right?
Sandy.
Jesus, I apologize. I'm never names are my kryptonite. Like, that's, as you've all learned clearly. Like if I don't do extensive research, I butcher names. Please forgive me for that. I get it right with the Warriors, but WNBA clearly I'm flawed. I'm sorry. I will never claim I'm an expert or perfect with WNBA coverage. That's why Sophia Jones is here to bolster our weekly segment. Thank you for being here, Sophia. Thank you for making me look better when I make dumbass comments like that. And now are we done? Is there anything you want to add before we go? I mean, I know this is a little vacation moment for you before USF basketball is underway, and all basketball is going to be underway. College, high school, NBA. It's just around the corner. We're finally back. I'm elated because this offseason has been pure torture for anyone covering, anyone who has an emotional interest, anyone who's vested in any regard with the Golden State Warriors. This has been a miserable offseason. So even if it's other basketball coming back, great. But the Warriors are coming back too. Even if it's with just 9 players, training camp is Monday. College basketball is just around the corner. Side note, USF, I don't know, like when he first got hired there, did they do the whole spiel about the 50s and 60s of USF basketball, the Bill Russell, Casey Jones days? Because I read an article just the other day about how the glory that Bill Russell and Casey Jones brought to that school, and it's been a damn long time since. Are you well versed? Are you caught up? Was that part of your seminar when you got hired there?
Yeah, I didn't really get a seminar, but just as someone who is, I feel like, in tuned with the history of the game of basketball, I was pretty aware, especially with a figure like Bill Russell.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so you'll be calling that soon. But until then, anything you want to promote? Anything we missed? Are we done?
I would just say that WNBA playoffs are still going on. We have the semifinals happening tonight, so
Who's playing?
I'm excited.
And is your dad calling it?
You know what? My dad is not calling it. He was only doing the first round because
Okay.
ESPN needed him for that. But tonight we have the Mercury and Lakes and the Fever and Aces.
Last question before you go. We're not going to have, side note, a V for Valkyries next Monday because it's media day. I'm going to be in San Francisco at Chase Center, provided I'm invited. There's never a guarantee with that, but hopefully I'll be there. So when we reconvene next week, whenever that is, and we'll figure that out off the air. What's your prediction for what we're going to see? I don't have to detail what the options are here. In your opinion, what are the Warriors going to look like the next time we host a V for Valkyries?
I think that with that Mark Stein report, it's going to be the Jonathan Kuminga sign, and then the subsequent players are going to be in Warriors jerseys as well. I feel like they have to do this stuff before media day.
I'm knocking on wood. Let's hope I know you're right. You would think, but I mean, the way this offseason has gone, nothing would surprise me. Stay tuned. We're back tonight. The I-80 crossover. It's going to be a special NBA preview episode. We're going to have a full spreadsheet and a visual with every one of our picks, all the OUs, everything you want to know about the upcoming NBA season in terms of each individual team's roster construction, their win total from last year, and what the bookies expect from them this year. We're covering all that. So that's going to be tonight, approximately 9 p.m. is when we start. And Sophia Jones joins us weekly for V for Valkyries. And make sure you check out our merch store. We got a lot of great swag there, a lot more to come. If you have any requests, we can also address that as well. So, for example, if there's a design that is in your mind would be amazing, like a shirt that you'd buy, we could potentially make that for you. It's kind of cool. So reach out, email us, warriors24pod@gmail.com for that. If you're interested in sponsoring the program, we have inventory spaces open as well. We're currently seeking local sponsors. So reach out to us if you're interested. And otherwise, I think we're done, right? Are we finished? Have a great day. See you tonight. Bye.